The sound of polished shoes, the hum of expensive engines, and the glint of glass towers framed the city like a monument to power. But down on the ground, beneath that shine, was Jasper Wells, tired, unshaven, and almost invisible. He had exactly 32 minutes to reach the most important interview of his life. He couldn't be late. He couldn't afford to be late. But fate doesn't wait for your permission. He spotted her near the underground parking entrance of the Rhodes Central Mall, a little girl no more than 5 years old standing barefoot on the cold sidewalk. Her face was red from crying, and she clutched a worn-out stuffed bear to her chest. People passed her by like she was invisible. But Jasper saw her. And once he saw her, he couldn't unsee. This is a story about the price of doing the right thing and what happens when life decides to pay you back in ways you never expected. But before we dive deeper, we need your help to reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's go back to that moment. Jasper had 29 minutes left. His shoes, secondhand and separating at the sole, scraped against the pavement as he slowed down, torn between two paths, the doors of opportunity or the needs of a child he didn't know. "Hey there," he said gently, kneeling. "Are you okay? Are you lost?" The girl nodded, wiping her nose with the sleeve of her little dress. "Where's your mommy?" She looked around, disoriented. She was on the phone. Then I looked at the fish. Then she was gone. Jasper's heart squeezed. He glanced at his watch. 27 minutes. He had one suit, one shot, one fragile hope for stability. But he couldn't leave her. "All right," he whispered. "Let's find her together." For the next 35 minutes, yes, 35, Jasper roamed the corridors of the luxury shopping complex, holding her small hand in his. He asked security guards, described her mother. No one had seen anything. The clock had betrayed him. The interview was gone, just like that. Then the tension shattered. "Zoe." A woman's voice cut through the air like a blade, sharp, commanding, terrified. Jasper turned. She came storming down the hall in heels that sounded like gavel strikes. A woman in a navy suit, flanked by 2 security officers, her presence so intense that even the air seemed to pause. Her eyes locked on her daughter, and in 2 strides, she had the girl in her arms. "I told you to stay with Marcia," she whispered harshly, hugging her tightly. "You scared me." The girl clung to her. Then, slowly, the woman turned to Jasper. There was a long pause, a storm behind her eyes. "Who are you?" she asked. Jasper hesitated. "Just someone passing by." "Are you staff?" He shook his head. "No, ma'am. I was on my way to a job trial. I saw her near the garage. She looked scared." The woman's gaze softened. Barely. "You stayed with her this whole time?" "I couldn't leave her alone." Another pause. She reached into her bag and pulled out a sleek business card. "Take this." "I don't—" "Just take it," she said, tucking it into his jacket pocket without another word. Then she walked away, just like that. Jasper stood in the middle of a marble hallway that wasn't built for people like him, staring after the woman who vanished behind gold-trimmed elevator doors. He never even asked for her name. But her daughter's name? Zoe. He'd remember that. Later that night, in the corner of a shelter with flickering lights and the sour scent of damp clothes, Jasper lay awake on a thin mattress. He clutched the business card between his fingers. It felt like an alien object in his hands, thick, glossy, heavy, Imani Rhodes. CEO, Rhodes Urban Group. His breath caught. Rhodes Urban Group. She didn't just own the mall, she owned malls, hotels, buildings. Her company was known across the state. She was wealth, power, media attention. And somehow, today, she'd handed him her card. It didn't make sense. Why? She hadn't offered money, hadn't thanked him with a smile. She had simply placed the card and walked away. Cold, calculated. But for some reason, he kept looking at it, and for some reason, he couldn't throw it away. The next morning, he used the coffee shop's Wi-Fi like he always did, pretending to be a customer. And after 3 minutes of debating with himself, he dialed the number on the back of the card. She answered on the second ring. "You called," she said. Jasper cleared his throat. "I wasn't sure if I should." "You should." A pause. "Come to my office." Now?" "It's not a request." Click. She hung up. Jasper stared at his phone, then at the mirror behind the espresso machine. His reflection stared back. Unshaven, sunken eyes, worn collar. He looked like everything she wasn't. Still, he went. It took 2 trains and a 20-minute walk to reach the headquarters of Rhodes Urban Group. The building loomed above him like a silver blade cutting the sky. Inside, he felt even more out of place. Polished marble floors, white suits, glass staircases. People moved like clockwork. At the front desk, a woman barely looked up before saying, "Name?" "Jasper Wells. She said to come." Her fingers paused on the keyboard. She looked up. "She's expecting you." An assistant led him to a private elevator, and for 30 floors, Jasper stood still, trying not to fidget, not to sweat. When the doors opened, the office looked like something out of a movie. Sleek, cold, expensive. And there she was, Imani Rhodes, standing behind her desk, perfect posture, expression unreadable. "You came," she said. Jasper nodded, still not sure why. She motioned to the chair. "Sit." He did. "You helped my daughter," she said, "and you didn't ask for anything in return." "I wouldn't." "Exactly." She slid a file across the table. "There's an opening in my operations division. Entry-level, competitive salary. You start Monday." Jasper blinked. "I don't have a degree in business or finance. I was a teacher. I haven't worked in a real office in years. I don't even have an address to put on a contract. Do you want it or not?" He looked at the folder. His hands trembled. Then he looked at her. "I don't want charity." "This isn't charity," she said, her voice like steel. "This is a challenge." He didn't know why, but he believed her. Before we continue, don't forget, if this story has moved you, help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Like, comment, and hit that subscribe button so we can keep sharing stories that matter. Jasper didn't remember leaving the building. One moment he was sitting in front of Imani Rhodes trying to process her offer. The next, he was back on the street, the weight of the folder in his hands heavier than it should have been. He hadn't said yes, but he hadn't said no either. His fingers traced the embossed logo on the folder, Rhodes Urban Group. The paper inside listed a salary that seemed impossible, more than he'd made in the last year combined. Benefits, a real office, a chance. But why? Why him? He hadn't impressed her with experience. He didn't own a suit. He hadn't even shaved. And yet, she'd seen something. Or maybe she hadn't. Maybe she was testing him, and this was just another moment for life to remind him that good things weren't meant for people like Jasper Wells. He didn't sleep that night. Not because of the noise in the shelter or the smell of mildew in the blankets, but because of the fear. Fear that this was a mistake. Fear that he'd walk in on Monday and security would escort him out for trespassing. Fear that he'd be laughed out of the building before he made it past the elevator. But Monday came anyway, and he went. He stood outside the Rhodes Tower in a borrowed shirt that didn't quite fit, with shoes that pinched his toes and socks that didn't match. But he held his head up. He told himself it wasn't about appearance. It was about worth. He walked through the lobby and gave his name. This time, they were expecting him. An assistant led him to the 19th floor. The office smelled like expensive coffee and polished glass. Everything was white, chrome, clean. Jasper stood in the middle of the room like a splash of gray in a world of light. "Mr. Wells?" a woman asked. He turned. She was tall, sharp, dressed in black from head to toe. "I'm Dana, Miss Rhodes's executive coordinator. You'll be reporting to me." He nodded, forcing his voice to stay steady. "Understood." She handed him a tablet. "These are your responsibilities. You'll be working in logistics support, mainly internal coordination, project tracking, and field requests." "Got it." She paused, looking him over like a product under review. "Let's get one thing clear," she said. "Miss Rhodes does not play favorites. You're not here because she likes you. You're here because she sees potential. That's not the same as a guarantee. You prove your value, or you're gone." Jasper nodded. "I understand." She raised an eyebrow. "Do you?" He met her gaze. "I will." She led him down a hallway to a glass-walled office. It wasn't big, but it was private. A desk, a chair, a computer. Windows that looked out across the city he used to walk just to find Wi-Fi. "This is yours," she said. "Don't waste it." She left. Jasper sat down. He stared at the screen for a long time, unsure what to touch, where to start. But he opened the tablet, began reading, and he stayed there working long after the others went home. That night, back at the shelter, he didn't sleep. But not from fear this time. From something else. Hope. The next 2 weeks were a blur of tension and tests. He worked harder than anyone. He learned fast, took notes, asked questions, stayed late. But people stared. Some whispered. He heard them. Who is he? He doesn't belong here. He must have something on her. Jasper ignored it. He thought of the moment Zoe's small hand slipped into his. He thought of the look in Imani's eyes when she saw her daughter safe. And he worked. But he wasn't prepared for what came next. One Friday afternoon, as he was preparing end-of-week reports, Dana entered his office without knocking. "Miss Rhodes wants to see you." Jasper stood immediately, smoothing down his shirt. "Now?" "She's waiting." He followed her to the top floor. The elevator opened into silence. Imani was alone, standing by the window with her back to him. "Come in," she said, without turning. He did. "You've been here 2 weeks," she said, "and already people are talking." Jasper's throat tightened. "I know. They say you're inexperienced, unqualified, a pet project. I'm trying." She turned to face him. "I didn't bring you here for you to try, Mr. Wells. I brought you here to win." He swallowed. "I want to. I'm just not sure how." "You already do," she said. He looked up, confused. "The way you moved during the shipping delay last week, the adjustments to the inventory system, that wasn't luck. I just saw where things were inefficient." She smiled, just barely. "That's called instinct." He exhaled. "Thank you. But," she said, stepping closer, That's not why I called you up here." Jasper felt his stomach twist. She dropped a folder on the table. His name was on the front. "What's this?" "An internal review," she said. "Someone flagged your background, asked why you were hired. That folder holds your story, Mr. Wells. I want to hear it. From you." He froze. This was it. The moment he'd feared. The moment his past would catch up and take everything back. "I don't have a fancy resume," he said finally. "I taught third grade for 4 years. Lost the job when the school cut funding. My dad died shortly after. Left me with debts I couldn't cover. I tried to hold on, but one thing led to another. I sold everything. I sleep at the shelter on 4th and Birch. I eat what I can. I'm trying to get back up, but it's hard. That's it. That's my file." Silence. Imani studied him, then nodded. "Thank you for your honesty." "Are you going to fire me?" "No." Jasper blinked. "Why not?" "Because that file tells me what kind of man you are," she said. "The kind that doesn't run from lost children or broken systems." Jasper left her office that day with a silence ringing in his chest. Not fear, not relief, something in between. For the first time in years, someone had looked at the full weight of his story and not turned away. But the building still whispered behind his back, and not everyone was quiet about it. The very next week, Jasper arrived early. He always did. But something was off. The numbers in his morning report didn't match. Orders were duplicated. Inventory was misallocated. A massive error, and it was under his name. His pulse spiked. He reviewed every line again, then again. It didn't make sense. He hadn't submitted these numbers, but someone had. Under his login. Sabotage. At 9 a.m. sharp, Dana called him into a meeting with department heads. The tension was sharp, faces cold. "We're losing thousands in misallocated stock," one executive said, "and the entry logs point to your credentials." Jasper looked to Dana. "I didn't enter those numbers." "Then who did?" He clenched his jaw. "I don't know, but I can find out." "Do that," she said, "because right now you look like a liability." For the next 4 days, Jasper barely left the office. He skipped meals, slept in one of the storage rooms. He combed through system logs, IP traces, timestamps, and then he found it. Someone had copied his access card, one of the newer employees in his wing, a man who always smiled a little too wide, who always asked too many questions about logins and protocols. Jasper compiled the evidence and sent it directly to Dana and Imani. The next day, a board meeting was called. The man was terminated on the spot. No ceremony, no excuses. When it was over, Jasper expected to return to silence and whispers. But that didn't happen. Instead, something changed. The glances shifted from suspicion to recognition. People greeted him by name. Some even nodded in respect. Dana didn't smile, but her tone changed when she handed him the next week's brief. "Good work," she said. That was all, but from Dana it meant more than a handshake. Jasper still took the long way home to the shelter, but now he walked a little taller. That Friday evening, something even more unexpected happened. He was working late again when a soft knock hit the frame of his office door. Imani, not her assistant, not a message through Dana. Imani herself. "Do you have a moment?" she asked. "Of course." She stepped in, looked around the small office, and then sat across from him. It was the first time she ever looked not composed, not cold. "I don't usually do this," she said. He waited. "People like me, we don't get second chances. We just get punished harder for our mistakes. Jasper frowned. People like you. People who've had to fight twice as hard to prove they belong where they are. She wasn't talking about money. I watched you after that false report, she said. You didn't panic. You investigated. You stayed silent. You moved smart. That's leadership. Jasper's voice was quiet. I just wanted to protect what I was given. Imani smiled, genuinely this time. That's exactly why you were given it. They sat in silence for a moment. No tension, just mutual respect. Then she stood. You'll be shadowing me next month. I want to see how you work under pressure. His eyes widened. Wait, you want me to... I want to know what you're capable of when the stakes are higher. You've proven you can survive. Now, show me you can lead. She left the room, heels echoing in the quiet. Jasper sat there, the heat of her words still burning in his chest. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was rising. The weeks that followed were like entering a new world. Jasper was in meetings now, real ones, next to Imani, listening, learning, speaking when asked, observing everything. People noticed. Some resented it. Others respected it. But no one ignored him anymore. One night, after a client presentation, they left together. Imani rarely made time for small talk, but this time she asked, "What would you do if this all went away tomorrow?" Jasper didn't even hesitate. He nodded. "I'd start again." He looked at her. "What about you?" "I'd build again," she said, "but I'd choose better people this time." She didn't look at him when she said it, but he knew. She meant him. Before we continue, remember, if this story means something to you, help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Stories like this grow because of you. That weekend, Jasper visited the neighborhood where he once taught. It hadn't changed much. The same cracked sidewalks, the same kids playing with half-flat basketballs. But something in him had changed. He passed the building where he once lived, long since boarded up, and stood there for a moment. Then he turned away. He wasn't going back. He was building forward. The weeks passed. Jasper no longer felt like a guest in the building. His steps were steadier, his voice firmer. He had earned his place, and people knew it. But Imani Rhodes still remained distant, professional, controlled. He had become someone others looked to, trusted. But with her, it was always the same tone, the same clipped nods, the same barrier. Until one morning, when everything changed. He was summoned to the top floor again, no warning, no reason given. He stepped into her office, heart steady. She stood by the window as she always did, looking out at the empire she'd built. "You've been here 3 months," she said without turning. "Tell me something. Why haven't you asked for more?" Jasper blinked. More what? More money, a title, a raise, leverage. Everyone wants something. He shook his head. "I already have more than I ever imagined. That's enough." She turned slowly. There was something different in her eyes today. Not steel. Something softer. "You remind me of someone I used to be," she said. Jasper didn't speak. "I built this company from the ground up," she continued, "brick by brick, deal by deal. And somewhere along the way, I stopped trusting anyone. I thought strength was control. I thought detachment was leadership." She looked directly at him. "Then you came along, and you weren't here to impress. You weren't looking for a spotlight. You just did what was right, every time." He stayed quiet, letting her speak. "That's leadership too," she said. Imani walked to her desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out a document folder. She placed it in front of him. He opened it. A new position, Director of Community Development, reporting directly to the CEO, with full authority to lead a new initiative under the Rhodes banner, affordable housing and retail in underserved neighborhoods. Wait, Jasper looked up. You want me to run this? I'm not offering this as a gift, Jasper, she said. You earned it, and you're the only one I trust to do it the right way. His throat tightened. This is my old neighborhood, he said, recognizing addresses on the first page. This is where I taught, where he slept, where he struggled, where he fought to survive. She nodded. It's time we invest where others only extract. Jasper stared at the paper, at his own name printed beneath a title that didn't even seem real. His voice came low. Why are you really doing this? Amani paused, then, in a rare moment of honesty, said, Because you helped me remember who I was before the suits and the glass towers. Because you helped my daughter without knowing who she was. Because this world is full of people who step over others. And you didn't. He swallowed hard. I don't know what to say. Say yes. He smiled, small but full. Yes. They shook hands. No applause, no audience. Just two people, once strangers, linked now by choice, trust, and something deeper. Neither of them would name out loud. Later that evening, Jasper walked back through his old block, not as someone looking for shelter, but as a builder of something new. Children ran by. A woman sold fruit on the corner. A man waved from a stoop where Jasper used to sit and plan the future he never thought would come. Now it was here. He stopped outside the school where he used to teach. The windows were cracked, the paint faded, but there was light inside. Hope. He stood there for a long time. The next day, construction would begin on the new site. His first real project. His name would be on it. But more important than that, his purpose would be in it. This story began with one simple moment, a man choosing to help a child instead of saving his own chance at employment. It ends with that man rebuilding the very place he once called home. Not because he had to, because he could. If this story moved you, helped you feel something real, or reminded you that no act of kindness is ever wasted, help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Like the video, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe so we can keep telling stories that matter. Thank you for watching.